everyone, it's Lynette with Charmed Grammy Crochet. How are you today? Today is, I don't know, it's Sunday, right? Yeah, it is Sunday. It is the end of the month, the 26th of April. We are currently in Palisades, Colorado. Yes, we've made it to Colorado. We left Utah yesterday and arrived here. We're here just until tomorrow, and then we're heading to Denver. I want to welcome you to my channel. It is a crochet and now knitting and travel channel. My husband and I retired January 1st, 2025, and we have been living and traveling in our RV ever since then. So when we visit an area, I like to do a travel video. I know a lot of my subscribers enjoy seeing the things that we have done and where we have been. The last video was our trip to Arizona. We spent about 3 weeks in Arizona. We spent 2 weeks in San Diego, and it was wonderful. First and foremost, we wanted to see Trish. I wanted to see Trish. I hadn't seen her since a long time. When we went to Sarasota with Billy the Crafty Floridian. And so when we were heading out to on this adventure, on this trip, definitely have to go to San Diego area and see Trish. And so we did. I got to see her 3 times. We crocheted together. It was wonderful. But she had a lot of suggestions of things to do in San Diego besides visit with her. And sadly, she did not. She's done all the things, and she didn't want to come with us. She said, it's our time, let us do this together. So we did. We did many things. And if you want to... I took lots and lots of pictures. Lots of pictures in lots of places. And I don't know if I can get it all into one video, simply because there's so many pictures, but I will give it my best shot. We did go to... We took a drive on the 101, the Pacific Coast Highway. That's what they call it. I didn't think about that. PCH. We took a drive on that. We got lost a few times. You can ride the coast, but then you get into little towns and little subdivisions, and we lost the PCH a few times. And so we drove as far as Laguna Beach, I think is as far as we went on there. But we did, you'll see some pictures of that. We did pass a little mission, the San Juan I know I'm going to say it wrong, Capistrano, and I really wanted to go back there, and it was so congested in that area, but I really wanted to go back there and go into the mission and take pictures, but somehow we never made it back past there. I don't know why. We went whale watching. We went to Little Italy. We went to Seaport Village. We spent a day at Midway, on the USS Midway. It was very cool. We went to the San Diego Zoo. We went and watched parasailing at La Jolla Beach. And we then drove around La Jolla Beach, and we actually saw seals. We saw seals twice when we were in San Diego. Once when we were on the whale watching tour, and once in their own natural environment, just doing what they do. I have lots of pictures of that. We went to Balboa Park. We went to the Cabrillo National Monument. We saw the ship that was carrying the rocket Artemis, the capsule, back. We saw that. We have pictures of that. We went to Joshua Tree National Park. After we left San Diego, we stayed there for a few days and went to Pioneer Town, which was a movie set that now actually They didn't tear it down, and it has stores, and it's like a little village. People live near, but I don't think actually in there. But we'll talk about that when we see the pictures. And that was our trip in California. Most of it in San Diego, except when we went to Joshua Tree on our way out. So I'm going to end this part of the video, and I will talk through the pictures and show, so you know what's going on. I have a list, and they're like in order of the events that we did. So like we went to the zoo. I'm not going to show you all the animals. There was like 9 trillion birds. I took pictures of a lot of them, but we're not going to. But you will see elephants, for 100% sure. If you know, you know. They have a safari where you can interact with the animals, elephants specifically, but it just opened. It's newly opened, and all the times were booked up. By the time we learned what was actually happening at this animal safari, it's like drive through and walk around. We never made it there. It became less of a priority after we found out we couldn't interact with the elephants. Like, yeah, well. So we did not. That is one thing we did not do. If we go back to the San Diego area, I will make sure to have appointments to do the interaction with the elephants. I'll make arrangements for that prior to going to San Diego, so I know I can get there and do that. A little disappointing that we didn't get to, but that's okay. There's always another trip. Always a good opportunity to see my Trisha. So there will be a couple of little videos. The whale watching was cool, but you couldn't really see the whales very well. We did see fin whales. It was not like seeing humpbacks. Humpbacks jump, fins don't. So we'll talk about that during the video too. So I'm going to end this. I've been rambling enough about what you're going to see. Stick around if you want to see those things. Fast forward for what you don't like. And I hope you enjoy what you do like. And I will say goodbye at the end. So the first place we stopped on the 101 was Carlsbad. We just kind of drove through this little town. It was the first noticeable one. And you're going to see a lot of scenery. San Diego area is beautiful. The sky is always blue. So much congestion, so many people. It's sunny every day, 74 average kind of temperature. We were driving down the 101, and there's the Army and Navy Academy. We tried to enter a couple times. They wouldn't let us in. We did see surfers along the road. We had to stop and get pictures of them. That was interesting to us. We don't see surfing very often. This is more just beach along the coast. That's where we saw the surfers, actually. I don't remember which beach it was. There's so many. There's just always beautiful scenery everywhere you look, but this is just down the 101. Different pictures that I thought were pretty, and I just picked out a few along the way. Then we went to saw that mission. That's the mission. And I really wanted to go in and see. There's another picture of it coming up. These were just driving by, but there wasn't anywhere to park, and we didn't. I thought we'd hit it on the way back, but like I said before, we never did see it on the way back. We were on and off the PCH, as they call it, just because when you get to these little towns, then sometimes the road detours, and we had a hard time following it at times. This is just a market on the beach. They just set up and do their own thing, apparently. was so pretty. This is up near Laguna Beach, where we did eventually get off at Laguna. We did get out and walk around. Now this little bunny you see, she didn't care how many people were there. It's a little grassy area. She lived in the flowers around the outside of it. She didn't care. She didn't care that we were there. Now this is Laguna Beach. You'll see Roy and I have every time we go to a beach, we get a shadow kissing picture. So you guys get to see that this time. And I always put my feet in the water when I'm near the ocean, if I can. It was cold, and I did not want to get any closer to it, any deeper in. But there were people swimming. Oh, that picture wasn't as good as I thought it was. When I'm picking out pictures, sometimes I got a little tiny thumbnail. These beautiful purple flowers were growing up the sides of the cliff. I was looking down at them at this picture, but they were beautiful. That's at the top of the cliff at the top of the beach. I just thought that was kind of cool, that little sculpture. We did not see any octopus while we were there. Just views. Houses stacked on top of houses. More pretty fauna. Lots of flowers. You know, we had been in the desert for so long. Seeing some green and colorful flowers was very nice. The ocean is just beautiful. The Pacific Ocean seems to be bluer than the Atlantic Ocean. Then we went whale watching, and the first thing we saw on the whale watching cruise were these seals that just come up on this dock area and sun themselves. I'm like, oh yay, wild seals. First time we ever saw wild seals. We did get to see wild seals twice while we were there in San Diego. And these are just birds. And the harbor is coming up. This is like the harbor we left from on our whale watching cruise, which was a very nice cruise. It was a beautiful day. You could always see, you know, we didn't go far enough out. I don't think that you could never see land. I think we always did see land, on one side or another. It was a nice time. It was worth the trip. Now, the whales that we did see were not humpback, they were fin whales. And I had there's the blow. Look for the blow. The fin whales don't breach. They just arch their back, and so you see the blow and you see their back. There it goes. You don't see oh yeah, I see it again. You get a little glimpse of their back, and after this video, I think there's a picture or a circle where the back of the whale is, but we were kind of seeing a mama and a baby. Yeah, here comes the picture. So that's like all you really see besides the blow is just that little bit of a back of the whale. Seeing the humpbacks was more exciting because they jump out. After whale watching, we went to Little Italy. Very cool little area. Actually quite a big area. Again, people stacked on top of people. Parking is always an issue. But it was a cool place. We did find a restaurant that was recommended to us by the boat captain. So we went there and ate. Like I said, parking was interesting. They had street entertainers, and this was one of them. Just set up wherever they want, I guess. I don't know if they had to be permitted or what. But they had a lot of outside dining, You could dine inside if you want, but on a beautiful day, why not eat outside? So this is where we ate. Roy had a meal where they cook the meal, but then they prepare it at your table in this big cheese bowl. They melt the cheese, then they throw he had pasta. They throw the pasta and all the fixings that came with it in that they just melted cheese, and then serve that to him. And that was his meal. I tasted it. It was really, really good. My meal had things in it that I knew what it was, and his did not. There were things I'm like, I'm not eating that. But he enjoyed it very well, and I did taste it. It was good. And these are just pictures along the road there. I think we were on our way to Seaport Village. Yep, that's outside. That boat in the background is the USS Midway. But Seaport Village is just a little village of shops, and they had this pond in the middle. The shops were, they're just touristy shops, but they had this little pond in the middle, and it had these really cool looking birds. Some birds that we had not ever seen before. I don't know what they actually are. But my husband is a birder, so we checked out the birds, and I thought these flowers were pretty on these trees. And here's another. This, I think there was a pair of them. This was the female. I thought I had the male. I guess I didn't put it in here. But I think that's the USS. Yeah, that's the boat we went on, the Midway. Now these pictures are all going to be pictures of the Midway. The actual boat, this is the next picture, this is inside. This is where the USS Midway was an aircraft carrier, and planes will take off and land on the top of this boat. This is underneath the landing area. It holds a lot of airplanes down here. I don't know if that's where they normally store airplanes when they're traveling. But the USS Midway was never at Midway. This boat was named Midway after the Battle of Midway. That's the namesake, but it was never in World War II. It served its purpose. It did some stuff in the Vietnam conflict. It rescued refugees. It had ships, planes come and go from it, just like it's supposed to. But these are all the different kinds of boats or planes that they had inside. And you'll see planes outside, and you'll see like living quarters and stuff. It's very interesting. More planes that they had in there. But then, anyway, they retired the ship and turned it into this museum. Now, here's the Kitzing statue again. It's just the order they were coming off my roll in. But when we were outside, you could, on the deck, you could see it. They have a restaurant area, which is where we were sitting there, where you could eat. So we grabbed a snack. Now you're seeing like the working area of the ship. They have a post office. They have different eating quarters, machinery places, recreation areas, hospital areas, torpedo areas, welding and mechanics, and they had to be able to make like their own supplies as far as if they needed a new bolt or whatever. Machine shop. Thanks. So they had a machine shop there for fabricating, welding, just anything they needed to do, you can do on the boat. So this is all inner workings and ventilation systems. excuse me. Now I think we're coming up to, yeah, this is the mess hall, where the majority of the staff, soldiers, will eat. But at the same time, while you're eating, they might be repairing or working on a missile that they're moving around. This is the medics area. I can't tell what this is. I think it's more, oh, that's inside the medic area. Just a hallway. I don't know. Now the captains and, the higher ranking military have nicer quarters and nicer eating areas. The ship has many levels, and this is like a stairway where it's at the bottom to catch me in case I fell, because I was wearing a dress. More eating area. They always had food going where people could eat all the time. I guess there wasn't really like a shutdown time. It was always working. Because you had people working 24/7. This is the kitchen. You have crews going 24/7. So they had to have food for the people that are working night shift just as much as the people working day shift. And these are getting more of the higher classmen, their areas to eat in. I picked up a boyfriend along the way. Yeah, I had to go with the captain. He was having coffee. Didn't even offer me any. One of the headquarters areas. They had lots of rooms for different things. Of course, they have a barber. This barber was for the officers. That's the word I'm looking for. Ammunitions area. Excuse me. But they had this is a gaming, like relaxation area for, I think this was officers' room. They had separate areas for officers and just regular enlisted men. And this carrier, or on these types of boats, apparently, they have like the captain of the ship, but then they have the guy in charge of the pilots and things like that too. And they have their own quarters that are like more elaborate. Than what the regular crewmen get. But they were both very high ranking, but like served different services or something. And were in charge of different things. I think that's the post office. Excuse me, on the ship. They had like war rooms, and this is, I think, the area that keeps the boat moving. Big ventilation systems. It would get really hot, so you had to do something to help keep it cool. This is where the enlisted men would sleep. These are their bunks. This is where they kept all their stuff. Drawers under their bunk. They did have some lockers. But this is the area that they slept in and lived in. And I don't know what that is. I just randomly grabbed pictures. Okay, again, more enlisted men quarters. They slept in like a barracks kind of situation, but under the boat, or inside the boat. At one point there was a fire on the boat, and that changed the way they did a lot of the ventilation systems. And still, like from that point forward, in every boat that they ever made. because of a fire on this particular ship at one time. Now this, I think, is just inner workings of the boat. The steam engines. How they make it all run. Oh, this is the brig. So if you get thrown in jail on the ship, there is a brig. And that, there's officers in charge. They have an area of like an isolation room. And then there's also an area of, more than if you're not in solitary confinement. You don't get a room to yourself. You sleep in this area. Like the group area. It looks like an electric chair. I don't remember what those are. It's not an electric chair, though. I put this in here so you could scan those QR codes if you want to and learn more about the aircraft carrier. We listened to a man who explained how they stop and start, or not start, but how they stop and start the planes, get them to take off, know that they have enough speed, and how they land them. This is the captain's, ship captain's, where he drives the boat from. I can't think of the name of it, but that's where he drives the boat from. It was very interesting. That's just maps and how they navigate. They have lots of maps everywhere. In the map room, in the war room, in the where you drive the boat from area. There's a word for it. I can't think of what it is. Cockpit kind of thing for the boat. And this is the view from that area. And this is the part that makes the ship go. All the commands come from here. Lots of brass. I asked why things were made in brass. And the answer was because they were using the sturdier metals for other things. And so this was just available. And that's the actual steering wheel. Some more quarters areas, sleeping areas. This is, so as I said, there's the captain and the admiral. This is one of the war rooms for one of them. Again, this is officers' relaxation area on the boat. This is the captain's office. Oh, the chief of the staff stateroom. That's that's what's coming up, maybe. So the admiral and the captain have their own cooks for special events. And this is where they work. Maybe it's for everyday use too. I'm not sure. I don't think that they had to eat with the enlisted men. These are uniforms. More maps. Maps everywhere. Have to figure out where you're going, where you need to be, and where the enemy is. This is more communications area. Of course, the communications had to be monitored 24/7 as well. Now, this might be the Admiral's room. Another uniform. These are actual uniforms from actual servicemen. This boat has lots and lots of rooms on it. Besides all the cargo area, lots and lots of rooms. Like I said, both the captain and the admiral had their own cook. This is a replica of Cappy, I think was his name. I can't remember his name, but it's on the, if you can read it on the nameplate. So this boat did go look for POWs after Vietnam. This is a list of Purple Hearts and Silver Stars and whatever that were awarded to some of the military people. The rescue team, I think these were mostly things to do with trying to rescue the POWs. They also picked up refugees from Vietnam. At one time they brought in 5,000, I think they said, refugees on one ship at one time. These are sailors and their awards, medals. So they did have a captive POW story on the boat. It was new. It just opened like the week we were there. It was very sad. These are replica of the quarters that a POW was kept in. A lot of times they were chained to the bed at the ankles or ankles and wrists. They were locked away in dark, no light usually, a lot of times anyway, in the room. And, you know the story, obviously mistreated. Then we got on top of the boat where they had more airplanes and helicopters. And so this is some of those pictures. I think we're getting to the end of our time at the Midway. This is inside a helicopter. Nope, not a helicopter. Aircraft. This was a supply aircraft, I believe. Roy's learning to drive the plane. Then I got to see Trish. That's one of our times together. And then we went to the San Diego Zoo. So you'll see some elephants and some other animals. The San Diego Zoo, there's a lot of volunteers that work there, and there's, regular people, employees. Look at the size of that flower. It was as big as my hand. I couldn't believe it. So I had to put my hand in there so you could see how big it was. It was beautiful. The orangutan did not want to look at me. He did show me his rear end a couple of times. I'm not showing that part to you. I didn't think you'd like it. And, of course, we have more elephants because, you know me. I enjoy elephants very much. I took a lot of pictures and some videos of the elephants. I hope I put the video in here where he was eating from the thing above him. Some hummingbird kept flying around his head. Nope, I don't guess I put that video in. This is a condor, and he was showing us his wings. And then we have a little prairie dog. He was so cute. I took a bazillion animal pictures, but you didn't have to see them all. So this is, I took this one because they had two different kinds. And these are like a dove kind of bird. But this is the white-headed one. And then you will see it's the same kind of bird, but it's a blue-headed one. And I was able to get pictures of them. They were kept in cages that had wires. It was really hard to get pictures of the birds that you could actually see the bird. Of course, you can't pass up a koala because how cute are they? They had a few koalas in the zoo. And the giraffes, we didn't get too close. The staff was very nice. They saw I was getting tired and they called for a shuttle to take us so we didn't have to walk up the hill. San Diego has lots of hills. We did walk a lot. I walked over 18,000 steps the day we were at the zoo, which was enough for me for 3 days. Excuse me. They had a bird, like terrarium. You could go in and just the birds are flying and living their best life all by themselves, doing whatever they want to do. Outside of that is the anteaters and some deer. That's an actual deer. It looks like a statue, but it's a real live, I think it's some kind of antelope. After we left the zoo, another day we went to a beach where they are parasailing. And they just jump off this cliff right there. They just jump off and into the sky they go. It was very cool to watch. They had like a food truck with a seating around it. And so we sat and we were watching. This guy's trying to take off, but his dog is... They had these dogs there that belonged to people when the dogs were harassing this guy. He had some tangled, I think that guy had some tangled lines, and then he's fighting with the dog, but he did eventually get off to a good start. Sometimes they jumped off and they went below the cliff, and you're like, oh my God, did they just die? But then they came back up. He did get off on his way. This is where they were parasailing over. So this is another beach. I think this is part of La Jolla. And it was just beautiful there. And it was very fun to watch them parasailing over these canyons. These little canyon areas. I kept trying to get a picture with the parasailer in the picture. I did get one somewhere. That's a squirrel. It just looks different than the squirrels that we get up north. This is another area of La Jolla. And we thought, oh, let's stop here. We were just driving through, and we stopped because we saw these birds, and it was beautiful. But when we were driving past, I said to Roy, I think those were seals. Well, we got out and looked, and I'm like, oh, they must have just been these birds. But we were walking up, there's a sidewalk and, whatever, and we were walking up, and we saw a seal, and I'm like, I bet those were seals. So we kept walking up the sidewalk, and there were seals. There were lots of seals. So this beach is blocked off. You can't get down to it. The seals are protected. The best you could get was that break wall you see in the background there. That was as close as you were going to get to them. And they're just there sunning themselves, resting, doing what seals do best, I guess, besides swim. I don't know how this one got up on that rock, but this is, it's pretty high out of the water, but he got up there, and he was living his best life all by himself. He didn't want any competition for where he wanted to sleep. I kept going from side to side. You see the guy on the rock on one side, you see all these with their little babies on the other side. I don't think that any of the babies were still nursing side. They're all hunting on their own. I don't know if I put a picture. One of them had a big scar on its back where maybe got away from a shark. I don't know. Another day we went to Balboa Park. Balboa Park is very interesting. It was built, I think they said 1915, 1901. I can't remember the date right now. But it was built for a World's Fair. And 1915 and 1960. They kept it open a second year, I remember. So there's actual, park areas, and then there's attraction kind of areas. Some of the things you have to pay for, some things you don't. But this was built 1915 for the Panama, California expedition, or World's Fair. So all these buildings were supposed to be torn down after the fair, but they didn't tear them down, and they recertified, built up, or whatever. These are apartments now. This used to just be a stage for the World's Fair. But there's apartments, there's businesses, there's museums. This tree is a really, really special tree. They're very rare, and so this tree is really well protected. There's a special artist. Her work is shown throughout the park. And I don't remember her name, but it's there and it's here, and the kids climb on this alligator and play on him all the time. Just more gardens in Balboa, it's park. So there's gardens. There is a church. This was entry into the park at one point. This is, they just redid this. It's a garden area, but these are for plants that can't have full sun. And so they put them in this building where the sun, it's 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off, based on how these slats are put together, and you'll see see all the slatting. So every plant gets 5 minutes of sun, then 5 minutes of shade, 5 minutes of sun, 5 minutes of shade, as the sun progresses through its course of the day. So it's not a great deal of shade and sun, but apparently it makes a big difference. This pond, it's a man-made pond, fountain area was used during, I think he said, World War II to teach military people how to swim. If they didn't know how to swim, they would swim in there. And it was also used as a hospital area. I think he said hospital area, and people would bathe in there. Then we went to this place, Cabrillo. It's a national monument. It's a park area. That is the ship that brought back the capsule of the rocket ship Artemis. It's coming around the lighthouse, and it's to meet up with those two ships that guide it in to where it needs to go. That is the monument that we were here to see, and there's a lighthouse. I think this is more of the monument. Yep. We were told to come here to see the monument and see the lighthouse. Coincidentally, we just happened to be there when that ship is coming in. I thought that the first stack on there was the actual space capsule. Nope, it's inside. And this talks about the lighthouse, so if you want to zoom in on that and read it, it's there for you. But they put up this little village area for the lighthouse, so that to guide the ships in, whatever lighthouses do. And now it's like a national park monument. They're refurbishing the light, and there's a different lighthouse that they use now. More of the ship. We kept, watching its progress until it met up with those that I don't know why they're shooting the water out, but those are just to guide him into the port. There were planes flying over. I think there's military base there, and I think they were kind of like protective detail, but yet still just work detail. So I took a couple pictures of those. That is Tijuana. San Diego is so close to Mexico that is Tijuana. When you had a lighthouse, they also had to have like a farm area so the lighthouse family could survive. They had to do some of their own farming and grow their own plants. This is where they have the original light from the lighthouse. And this is a whale they had painted on the sidewalk of a whale watching area. Sometimes you could see whales. This just paths through some garden areas up at the lighthouse, and you could see the ocean. I just thought you might enjoy the photos. That is the, I think, working lighthouse now, and its little village of, whatever needs to make it run. Just some beautiful views. Yeah, there was a plane flying around with that banner on it. Never did get to read the banner. It didn't get close enough. That's San Diego, my friends. The birds were following this boat, which was following the ship that the Artemis was on. There were a lot of boats that came out to watch the Artemis come in. Oh dear. I just spilled my water. I'll get it in a minute. That's the monument. Since there's military there, this is a military cemetery, and it is huge. It just like goes on forever, and it's on both sides of the road. It appeared to me to be bigger than Arlington. I've been to Arlington, and the headstones were just everywhere. It was beautiful. We didn't get out. We just drove past. Trish told me there were purple trees. These are not lilacs. Isn't it gorgeous? Now we're on our way to Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree is a national park. We stayed there for 2 or 3 nights. We stayed at a place called Salton Sea. It's like a Dead Sea. On the way, we drove past, have you ever seen palm tree farms? We're like, why are they growing all these palm trees? They're growing the fruit from the palm trees. Probably dates or coconuts. And this is our view from our campsite. That is the water there is so salty that there are no fish in the water. We wanted to fish. I thought, oh, we could fish here. No, no fish there. And this is just part of Joshua Tree State Park. We went on a little hiking trail. It was very pretty. Joshua Tree is an actual tree. Not that one. That's just an in-bloom cactus. So I thought it was kind of pretty. I do believe I put pictures of a Joshua tree in here. It's an endangered. When we went to Pioneer Town, which you'll see in a few minutes, if there is a Joshua tree on your property, you cannot build your house within 40 feet of that tree. So this is Pioneer Town. It was originally a movie set. This town was built as a movie set. Now they have, some of it is still just like a movie set, and nothing really is happening in the building. But a lot of them house actual businesses. There is a saloon, and we ate there. We had a beer and some nachos. Actually, queso. Chips and queso inside the saloon. But this, I think they said in the 40s this was built. And instead of tearing it down, the townspeople just kind of moved in. There is a restaurant, Pappy and Harriet's. They actually have headline music played there. Like, I thought, oh, we'll go see. There was going to be a show. We'll go see the show. It was like $225 a seat. And I'm like, oh, this is not local bands. These are not local bands. It was a country music band that was playing something I never heard of. I don't listen to country music. Here's a windmill farm, as you can see. And just, that is the salt coming off of the salt at our campground. That is why nothing can live in that water, because it is that salty. Now, the rest of the pictures you're going to see here are the sunset at our campsite. And I just thought they were beautiful. Then you're going to see, here I come. I actually drove on an actual road outside of the park. I pulled the camper. Didn't do it for very long. Oh, that kind of got out of order. But that's my first time to drive it on the road. I drove it for a few miles. Okay, bye. So thanks for watching that video. I appreciate you sticking around to the end. If you haven't or are not subscribed, please subscribe. I appreciate that very much. Hit the thumbs up button if you like this kind of video. Let me know in the comments if you did like it. And I will do more as we continue to travel. The next videos will be since leaving. And we're on our way back to Ohio now. So there'll probably be maybe 2 more travel videos, maybe only 1. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But as I said, thanks for watching, liking, subscribing, all the things that YouTube likes. I appreciate very much. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.